Welcome back. Now, as India and South Africa face each other in the Nagpur test, it is the pitch that has been at the center of a big debate. 32 wickets have fallen in the first 2 days of the third and penultimate test. To discuss all that and more, I'm now joined by Sharda Ugra, senior editor at ESPN-Cricinfo. Thank you, Sharda, for joining us. Why this reaction? Why such an outpour? Why so much of rage, considering the fact that, India is playing at home and clearly the home team should have some advantage?
I think the sense of overreaction is perhaps coming from, say, someone like Michael Vaughan or David Lloyd. They tend to kind of stir up all the Indians on social media and get them worked up, and it works for their Twitter handle and so on. But I think the general sense of sort of a reaction to a wicket like this is that it is almost formulaic, it's almost fabricated and manufactured to have this kind of a test match. Because what happened in Mohali and what happened here is remarkably similar. They are saying that this wicket is far more tough to bat on than Mohali was, and so on and so forth. I think it's the point that it's almost turned into like a formulaic pitch, like a template that you're using to be able to win test matches in India, which seems a bit odd. Of course, home advantage is something that all cricket teams make use of. But is this the natural way that that particular ground or that particular pitch has always played? In the case of Mohali, no, even though the wicket has slowed down. In the case of Nagpur, definitely not, because that's not the way matches have been in Nagpur. They tend to be sort of dull batting draws. Do we want a dull batting draw? Absolutely not. But there has to be a middle ground, but this doesn't seem to be the middle ground that we're looking at.
Sharda, considering the test matches are already losing popularity, and since you say that such wickets make the game even more predictable, isn't that another risk that cricket administrators will have to be wary of?
I think what you're saying is a very important thing, Ranujay, because they cannot be this kind of predictability. 20 wickets in a day. Test cricket, what always happens with Test cricket is that we say yes, it is dying. It has been dying for like maybe 30, 40 years now. But yes, you want people to come in. You want there to be a certain unscripted element to it. I'm not saying this is is scripted at all. But there is, like I said, there's a template and a formula. And if I can just go back a couple of decades, in the 1990s, India played a lot of test matches at home and won them all, pretty much won them all. And they played to this formula of wickets that turned dramatically. But if you look back at what happened is we've just looked at some stats at Cricinfo, and we came up with this figure that India's average batting first innings total was about 420. So you saw good quality batting of a particular kind, and the visiting team struggled and so on. But you're not even seeing the Indian batsmen putting up a kind of an accomplished batting performance on a wicket like this. So it's almost that you're seeing two teams struggling with batting and looking bad, and it being sort of basically whose spinners are going to make maximum use of the track that there is there. And when people talk about an unfair wicket, saying that, the spontaneous reaction will be that what's the difference? You've got green wickets in Australia. What's the difference? You've got seaming wickets in England, and matches get over in 2-3 days. And the point about having those kind of wickets, as an article on my own website is going to tell you, is that there is a certain predictability, or there is a certain almost like a stability of the bounce that is there. So the batsman knows that if they get something that is off on line or length, they can capitalize out of it. The bounce here is completely wild. It's up and down. This is like a fifth day kind of a wicket rather than a first or a second day wicket, which is where it kind of doesn't ring quite true.
Then do you feel that there could be a subtext to having such pitches? Maybe the curators themselves are under pressure to prepare these sort of wickets. Owing to India's dismal form in test matches, we saw Ravi Shastri hit out against the Wankhede pitch some time back.
There will always be certain kind of, pull and push and pull and tug where it comes to curators, and what you can say and what you can't do, and what you can say and what you can't say. And I don't think that the curators are doing this of their own accord. A particular one of my colleagues has reported that in Mohali, he was speaking to some of the kids in the, sitting at the ground beside him, and they said that a week before the test match, the wicketkeeper was picking up balls around his chest. That's when he was taking the ball there. So that's the bounce which was there, and then they kind of slowed the bounce down all the way to what we saw at the test match. Now that just appears terrible. I don't know from where the instruction would have come, but that just appeared a bit odd, because you don't have, your team doesn't require extra assistance like this. It doesn't require this certainty of assistance that seems to be coming. Even if there's pressure coming from within the team, I think it's almost like they are not being, they're not giving enough credit or respect to their own ability as batsmen and bowlers. I know that MS Dhoni used to complain incessantly about the fact that he didn't have, the conditions didn't suit India getting 20 wickets. He didn't have bowlers to get 20 wickets. But, times have changed. You've got a whole different class of batsmen. R. Ashwin is a much more experienced bowler. You've got the option of Amit Mishra, and you've got Ravindra Jadeja to come in and do that kind of stuff. So I think it's being a little bit disrespectful even to the players. Wherever this idea is coming from, if it's coming from the team, if it's coming from curators, administrators, ground, it's like you're not giving much credit to your own team in that sense.
Nicely put, Sharda. Unfortunately, we are completely, we've run out of time, but it's a pleasure to have you had on the big picture. With that, it's a wrap.